We don't always want a game that makes us think. Sometimes all that matters is grabbing the controller and mashing buttons. And today we're going to talk about 15 hack and slash games you need to play at least once. So, without wasting any time, shall we get started? If you only know the older Kratos from the recent games, God of War 3 Remastered will remind you of the relentless monster he once was. There's no reflection or redemption here. It's pure fury, with Kratos tearing gods and titans apart without a shred of mercy. The combat is hack and slash at its peak. The blades of chaos slice through everything in their path with insane combos, leaving no room for subtlety. No strategic battles or contemplative moments here. It's brutal, bloody, just the way only God of War can be. The bosses are colossal, the environments are impressive even today, and every blow makes you feel the weight of the ghost of Sparta's rage. The remastered version takes everything up a notch with refined graphics, making every battle against the gods even more stunning. Facing Zeus and Hades has never been so intense. If you want a game that delivers unfiltered destruction and the essence of classic Kratos, God of War 3 remains the ultimate experience. If you like games where every hit feels like a punch straight to the enemy's face, Space Marine 2 is pure brutality in game form. The melee combat has an incredible sense of weight. Every swing of the chainsword tears through enemies like they're butter as you dive fearlessly into the middle of tyrannid hordes. The mix of melee combat with intense gunfights keeps the action frantic. You won't just be relying on your sword. Bolters and plasma guns give you what you need to carve a path through the battle. But the real fun is facing enemies up close, feeling every impact as the Space Marine's armor crushes everything in its path. With insane graphics, flawless performance, and precise controls, Space Marine 2 delivers exactly what a Warhammer fan expects: carnage, striking visuals, and the feeling of being an unstoppable force on the battlefield. Scarlet Nexus is one of those games that grabs you with its action and keeps you hooked with its creativity. The combat blends fast sword attacks with telekinetic powers, letting you hurl cars, lampposts, and even pieces of buildings at your enemies. And it's not just a visual spectacle. The synergy between physical strikes and psychic abilities creates a truly engaging combat system, where every encounter feels like a chaotic dance of speed and destruction. On top of that, the game lets you borrow powers from your allies, adding even more variety to the combat and keeping everything fast-paced from start to finish. But Scarlet Nexus isn't just about stylish combat. The futuristic world and anime cyberpunk aesthetic give the story a unique identity, involving conspiracies, supernatural powers, and bizarre creatures. The enemies look like they came straight out of a nightmare, and the bosses constantly put your skills to the test. If you enjoy games with intense action, memorable characters, and stunning visuals, this is an experience worth checking out. Nier Automata isn't just an action game. It makes you question your own existence while you destroy robots. The combat is all about rhythm, fast and precise, just the way Platinum Games knows how to do. Every strike, dodge, and combo flows naturally, keeping you in control even when the screen turns into complete chaos. The pods aren't just a minor detail. They fit perfectly into the gameplay, adding ranged attacks that really make a difference. But what makes this game unique is how it blends frantic combat with a story full of twists and a world that always has something more to show. If you're going to play, don't forget to get the Game of the Yorha edition. If you're into Ninja Gaiden or Dead or Alive, Wanted, Dead is like that chaotic and stylish cousin in the family. And that's no coincidence, since it comes from the same creators. The game is a fast-paced hack and slash, packed with brutal combos, over-the-top finishers, and a cyberpunk vibe that just makes everything even crazier. The big highlight here is the combat. You mix quick sword slashes with occasional gunfights, but the real focus is on melee combat. The finishers are a spectacle, and the difficulty brings that hardcore challenge of the classics. Now it's worth mentioning, Wanted Dead has divided opinions. Some found the gameplay a bit stiff, while others didn't like the story. But if you're here for the frantic action and a game that fully embraces its own craziness, it can be a really fun experience. It doesn't try to reinvent the genre, but delivers pure, addictive chaos for those who enjoy a good challenge. Alter Rage is that kind of game that arrives quietly but ends up surprising you. And in the hack and slash with the AA feel, it delivers much more polished combat than you'd expect from a lower budget game. You take on the role of Rage, a guy with only 7 days to live, no pressure, right? After falling from a space colony, he has to save humanity. The combat is super fluid, and if you like action games, you'll feel right at home. But here's the thing. Instead of having just one weapon, you use several swords, each with its own energy bar. If you overuse one, it becomes unusable until it recharges, forcing you to constantly change up your fighting style. This creates an interesting balance between strategy and chaos, since you have to switch weapons mid-fight to adapt to your enemies. It's not just button mashing. The game demands quick reflexes and strategic thinking. The story might be a bit over the top, but it has that charm that makes you root for the protagonist. If you like games that reward skill and creativity in combat, Ultra Rage definitely deserves a shot. If you're into hack and slash games and have never played Bayonetta, what are you waiting for? This game is pure stylized chaos, a frenzied dance where every move feels choreographed to be as insane as possible. Bayonetta, the most stylish witch in gaming, not only fights with guns on her heels but also summons giant demons mid-combo to obliterate enemies in the most over-the-top ways. The combat flows like a work of art, and every well-executed combo is a reward in itself. The game encourages you to try out different weapons and styles, always rewarding creativity and precision. There are guns, but the real show is the hand-to-hand combat. Bayonetta spins, jumps, dodges, and destroys everything around her with elegance. And the bosses? Gigantic, over-the-top, and worthy of an action blockbuster. If you're going to play, go straight for the remastered version, better graphics, smoother gameplay, and the same essence that made the original a classic. In the end, Bayonetta is the kind of game that makes you feel like a legend when you finish it. If you like ninjas but want something with a futuristic vibe, Metal Gear Rising is exactly what you're looking for. Here you take control of Raiden, a cyborg ninja wielding a sword capable of cutting through almost anything. And the game makes sure you get to test that out. The combat is a show in itself, fast, brutal, and insanely satisfying. With Blade Mode, you can slow down time and slice enemies with surgical precision, turning every fight into a true spectacle. But it's not just about attacking mindlessly. Mastering parries and dodges at the right moment is essential to defeating your opponents with style. The game's over-the-top vibe is addictive, and the heavy metal soundtrack makes everything even more intense. The story is complete madness, just as you'd expect from a Metal Gear. But what really matters here is the non-stop, insane action. If you've played Ninja Gaiden before, you'll feel right at home. If not, don't worry. Revengeance is easy to pick up and start destroying everything. If you were expecting a pure hack and slash, Persona 5 Strikers might surprise you. It takes Persona's unique style and mixes it with frenetic, combo-filled combat, creating an addictive hybrid. Here, you're still alongside the Phantom Thieves, taking down shadows with stylish moves. Each character has their own unique fighting style. Joker delivers quick, precise attacks with his daggers, while Ryuji charges in, smashing everything with heavy blows. And the best part, you can summon your personas in the middle of combat. But it's not just about button mashing. The game keeps Persona's strategic element, requiring you to combine attacks and exploit enemy weaknesses. And of course, the visual style remains flawless, from the menus to the animations. If you've already played Persona 5 Royal and enjoy hack and slash games, this one is a must-play. If you haven't played it yet, you're missing out on one of the best JRPGs in recent times. You know those older classic games that are still worth playing? Darksiders is exactly that. The remaster gives it a visual upgrade and makes the classic even more polished, but without changing what made the game shine. The combat is still incredibly satisfying. War unleashes brutal blows with his gigantic sword, slicing through hordes of enemies as if they were paper. But it's not just a visual overhaul. The controls have been improved, the resolution is now 4K, and everything runs smoothly. Compared to more recent games, it might feel a bit dated, but the sense of impact in the attacks and the epic scale of the story still make Darksiders worth every minute. If you've never played it, this is the best way to experience one of the most underrated hack and slash games out there. What made Shadow of War stand out among so many hack and slash games was, without a doubt, the Nemesis system. This mechanic turns every enemy into a unique story. The orcs remember you, come back stronger, more resentful, and ready to return every blow they've taken, creating a dynamic world where every battle can give rise to a new rival. The combat is fast-paced, brutal, and full of possibilities. From stealth assassinations to open battles where you cut through hordes as if you were Aragorn himself. The executions are ruthless, the combos are addictive, and the progression keeps everything interesting as you expand your influence. If you're going to play, go straight for the Definitive Edition, which includes all the DLCs, graphical improvements, and more stable performance. Shadow of War can easily suck you in for hours as you build your army and turn Mordor into your own playground. If you've never played the original Ninja Gaiden 2, this enhanced version is the perfect chance to finally dive into the chaos. Before, the difficulty was just part of the charm. The real problem was the stiff controls that made everything even more frustrating. Now, with this new edition, you can truly feel like an unstoppable ninja slicing through enemies with surgical precision. The combat is sharper than ever, and the dragon sword responds incredibly smoothly. The combos are insane, letting you cut through hordes of enemies like a living blade, and the over-the-top violence just makes everything even more satisfying. This version also adds a new game plus, allowing you to revisit the game's most brutal battles, now running at 120 FPS. It feels like a classic revamped for modern hardware but without losing its essence. The difficulty is still there, as challenging as ever, but now it feels fairer, making Ninja Gaiden 2 Black a must-play title for any hack and slash fan. If you enjoy hack and slash games but want something with more depth, God Eater 3 is a perfect choice. The combat is fast, fluid, and has just the right amount of chaos to keep you on your toes. Here, you wield the God Axe Massive, fully customizable weapons that are essential for facing the Aragami, gigantic monsters that never let up. The melee combat is heavy and satisfying, with impactful strikes and brutal combos. But if you want to mix things up, you can switch to ranged attacks in the middle of a fight, making everything even more dynamic. With an anime vibe, the story blends a post-apocalyptic world with over-the-top action. But it's not just about slashing everything in sight. Managing your team adds a strategic layer that really makes a difference. If you've played the previous games, you'll notice how this one refines the formula. If you're new to the series, God Eater 3 is a great place to start. In the end, it's the kind of game that gets you grinding for hours without even noticing. Ghost Runner 2 burst onto the scene, kicking down doors and keeping all the intensity of the first game. Here, speed and precision aren't just important, they're essential. You're a lethal cyber ninja, able to take out any enemy with a single strike, but one mistake is all it takes to be wiped out. The combat is as sharp as your katana's blade, which feels like an extension of your own body. Between slides, wall runs, and calculated jumps, the game flows flawlessly. There's room for shurikens and a grappling hook to pull enemies in, but the heart of the experience remains the direct, frenetic combat. The cyberpunk visuals ooze style, while the electronic soundtrack keeps the action pace sky high. But Ghost Runner 2 isn't just about fighting. Parkour and puzzles keep everything dynamic and varied. If you played the first game, you'll notice the evolution. More enemies, new abilities, and a story that dives even deeper into this universe. It's the kind of game that makes you feel like an unstoppable ninja even when you die countless times. And believe me, every attempt is worth it. No one else comes close. Devil May Cry 5 is the pinnacle of hack and slash games right now. The combat isn't just stylish, it practically dares you to play in the most outrageous and elegant way possible. Here, you can choose between 3 characters, each with their own unique style. Dante keeps his classic arsenal, Nero relies on his mechanical arm, and then there's V, who brings a completely different approach. But the real showstopper is the hand-to-hand combat. The combos seem endless, and the game encourages you to get creative. The visuals are jaw-dropping, and the soundtrack is a show in itself, cranking up the adrenaline even more. If you're already familiar with the series, You'll love how this title ties everything together brilliantly. If you're new here, you can jump right in without worry and have just as much fun. Seriously, if you haven't played Devil May Cry 5 yet, you're missing out on one of the best action games ever made. So, which of these games did you have the most fun with? And for you, which one is a must-play? If you missed seeing a game on this list, let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. As always, thank you so much for watching and for sticking with us until the end. See you next time. Bye-bye.